The curse of Eve was mainly for Eve. She sinned against the Most High by eating of the tree of good and evil. And the Most High cursed her in Genesis chapter 3. Let me read verse 15. And I will put enmity between thee and the woman, and between thy seed and her seed. It shall bruise thy head, and thou shalt bruise his heel. Unto the woman he said, I will greatly multiply thy sorrow and thy conception. In sorrow thou shalt bring forth children, and thy desire shall be to thy husband, and he shall rule over thee. This curse was for Eve. I've heard people call Israelite women Eve, and basically applying her curse to all of us. The Most High allowed this curse to fall on people as he will, but we can't deny that we have the epidural that prevents pain. Because that was always my fear growing up, like scared to have a baby because of the pain that I would endure. And through the Most High blessing men to create the epidural, I didn't have to go through that pain. And some people make themselves go through it. But pain during conception was a curse. So if you make yourself go through the pain, like you are surrendering to a curse that the Most High was probably going to deliver you from by you getting the epidural. And we can get into the effects and all this and that and all this and that, but it's actually a blessing. And it was mainly for Eve. And how you can tell the difference between when he's talking to Eve and the curse is for Eve versus the curse on her children, which is verse 15. And I will put enmity between thee and the woman, and between thy seed and her seed. It shall bruise thy head, and thou shalt bruise his heel. So that is talking about her children. But when it says, and thy desire shall be to thy husband, because of what she did, her getting him to sin against the Most High, getting Adam to sin, he would rule over her, and she would desire his affection. And you got to imagine that because of what she did, that Adam was probably furious with her for getting them kicked out of the garden, and him being cursed, having to learn how to, grow food and figure out a way to eat and stuff. Because that was a curse according to verse 17. And unto Adam he said, because thou hast hearkened unto the voice of thy wife, and hast eaten of the tree of which I commanded thee, saying, thou shalt not eat of it, cursed is the ground for thy sake, and sorrow shalt thou eat of it all the days of thy life. Thorns also and thistles shall it bring forth to thee, and thou shalt eat the herb of the field. In the sweat of thy face shalt thou eat bread till thou return into the ground, for out of it wast thou taken. For dust thou art, and unto dust shalt thou return. So this was on Adam because of his sin. And, he had all the food in the garden that he could easily eat. But now he would have to work hard to have a meal. And sometimes he would be trying to grow food and it won't even grow right. So that was his curse. And so you could imagine Eve trying to smooth things over and him being just in wrath and frustrated and not wanting to be bothered with her because of what he has to go through, what he had to go through after getting kicked out of the garden. And that was Eve's curse, where it says her desire would be to her husband and he would rule over her because of what she did. So when people are trying to apply what she did to us as individuals, you can't really do that because each of us would have done differently if we'd have been in her shoes. And you can't just put what she did on everybody. Now we have to suffer because of what she did, but the Most High spare who he will. So that means everybody wasn't cursed with her curse.